We say we were always here. As far as who we are as people, we were. It's from these lands we developed. It's from these lands our languages, our cultures, our lifestyles, our diets, our knowledge and our understanding of the world developed. Long before the first European migrants washed up on our shores, we had cities, roads, governments, and commerce. Along the way, we made some of the same mistakes others made, and ultimately, we put some of those mistakes behind us. But we learned from those mistakes and evolved into peoples who used our minds to learn to flow with nature rather than resist or defy it. We call ourselves Haudenosaunee or Haudenosaunee, the people of the way of the Longhouse.
Symbolically, we say we live in a longhouse. Furthest to the east is the Kanyakahaga. He will be the eastern doorkeeper. And furthest to the west is Unudowanko'aga, the western doorkeepers. And the thing is that there is a way of life within this symbolic house. There are ways on how we relate to one another, how we take care of things because of the guidance we received from creation, our learnings that we got from the creation.
What many call the Great Law of Peace, we call the Gayina Dagoa. It actually doesn't translate to Great Law of Peace. It more accurately translates to a great path or way for good. It wasn't a rigid law or set of laws, but rather a series of processes and procedures. And its goal was to solve conflicts and to secure and maintain peace. The word that is used for peace is skana, but we view peace not as a thing achieved, but more so a process of maintaining balance. The Gayina Dagoa is sometimes called a constitution, but it is less about who has what powers and authority, and more about responsibilities and process. The clan system was our governing system. We worked towards consensus on divisive issues, using our clan system and a deliberative process. We were not a patriarchy, nor a matriarchy. Men and women each had significant and balanced roles and responsibilities. Individuals selected for specific responsibilities, men often called chiefs and women called clan mothers, were servants of their people, not leaders or lords raised above the people. While the words public service and public servant are widely used today, the concept was uniquely Haudenosaunee.
A clan mother is a representative for the female. She gathers the voices of the female side. She conducts meetings of matrilineal side. So she brings a issue to them. They discuss things, and then she carries the voice of the people on for the female side. Same goes with the male side. We have the male title holders, and they also they present the issue, then they gather the voices again. And then they meet together and come to a one mind, and they share that back and forth. So that's the whole process of communication, effective communication to find the best way forward so that we all work together and follow the same direction. So the same process goes all the way up to the Grand Council so that we can all move forward in the same direction.
They had no authority of their own. Their skill was in bringing the minds of the people together, and then to merely carry the voices and the will of the people forward.
We have developed a formula of how to avoid warfare, how we can resolve all of our problems. All of our issues can be dealt with by peaceful council. And that's why we have the three-sided council. And we have families that sit on all of the three sides. And we all work together. We use our minds, and we use our voices, and we use ourselves to fulfill what these things are that we have come to agree upon. We say is that we become of like mind. And because sometimes the decision we make isn't maybe good for us personally, but for the well-being of everyone, of everything, we go with that because it's the best solution to what we have to do.
We lived with a code referred to as the 7 generations philosophy. The idea is that we will make our decisions based on a commitment to honor the faces we will never see. We know it's easy to look out for yourself or for your children or even your grandchildren, but we must be aware of any actions that we take today can and will impact future generations. So this concept is meant to guide us and see things well beyond what impacts the generations we will never see and know. Our lives were rich and prosperous. We did not merely survive in an untamed world. The 5 nations and later 6 nations was a model of peace, prosperity, protection, and unity. In 1751, Benjamin Franklin wrote in a letter that promoting a voluntary union of the British colonies for strength and unity in dealing with competing interests would be preferable to one imposed by the British Parliament. He wrote of the 6 nations, saying,
It would be a very strange thing if 6 nations of ignorant savages should be capable of forming a scheme for such an union, and be able to execute it in such a manner as that it has subsisted ages and appears indissoluble, and yet that a like union should be impracticable for 10 or a dozen English colonies, to whom it is more necessary and must be more advantageous.
Dismissing Franklin's sarcasm or condescendence, whatever the case may be, he clearly expressed envy for our ability to form a union that their own civilized brethren found difficult. Our system connected families, communities, our nations, and our confederacy, all using the same philosophy and system.
Nobody really takes the time to understand who we are and try to understand who we are, because everything they do, they're always trying to compare us to somebody else someplace. And that's not who we are. First off, we have 2 totally different worldviews. And our worldview is of the world, is of the creation. Creation guides us and shows us how we are to continue life, how we are to bring children and grandchildren into this world, and how we take care of each other, how we are guided through life. It's creation that shows us.
Our word for Native people is Ogwa'we. It roughly translates to a real or original human being. But to be real or original, that human being had to have had connections to the land, both from the past and into the future, forever in both directions. You must be a people created by the land you occupy to be Ogwa'we. Settlers are not. Our historical timeline is long, stretching back to the dawn of man. In that time, our minds and bodies, with the help of the land and all of creation, carried us through, and the path we followed yielded to nature. The fact that we developed here, far away from those who would consider us primitive, just allowed our path to be different from theirs. Not less, not savage, and not undeveloped. Just different. We had nature to guide us, not religion or gods. We were told of the power of creation, that we would not know the name or the face, or the place that power dwelled. We would only know the evidence of that power. Creation itself is the evidence. Nature was what we needed to know for life.
There has to be future generations that push back against the notion that to be native meant that we had to be evil or savage or ignorant. We were never a primitive people. We were always a people who put more stock in humanness and humanity. And not to the extent that we wanted to separate the humanity from the rest of creation, but understanding our role in the universe. That's what being native meant. That's what the word for native in our language is Ongwe Umwe. And what it means is that we are a real human being. And to be real means you have to have a connection to the place that you live. One that goes back in history and goes forward into the future. To be real means you have to be real forever. And forever is an arrow going in both directions. So the reason we don't view white people as Ongwe is because they don't have the history that we have here. In fact, historically, as our people came to interact with Europeans, we realized that there was something lacking. There was a development that they had not quite achieved. And that's why they were wandering so much. That's why they were abandoning their homelands. So we viewed these Europeans as a people that had yet to fully develop. And it wasn't meant as an insult. It wasn't to call them down. It was to say they're still developing. The problem is what they developed into. They tried to define us in ways that always make it sound like we were just nomadic, like we were lost, like we weren't here forever. And the obsession with this idea of our origin story is one that has an agenda to it, and it's not an agenda that that serves us. It's one that justifies others to come and displace us.